Autumn is in full swing here in Australia, which I am so happy to say, although I hope you cannot hear the wind. It is blowing a gale outside, but this weather, it just makes me want to read and write and cozy up and get my knitwear on. And one thing that I think autumn goes so beautifully with is journaling. And I saw a video on here called The Ecosystem of My Journal by Jalissa Rose, and she's been one of my favorite content creators at the moment. She's just such a comfort to me, and I wanted to jump on here and share my own journaling ecosystem because it's something that's constantly evolving and changing, and I think it's something that everybody should treat themselves to, is having a nice journal and a space for themselves to hold their creativity. And doing the artist way has just really made me fall more in love with my journaling ecosystem, and I am planning to update this in the next few weeks as I finish off a few of these journals and sort of change things around. But I wanted to share my ecosystem in its current state, what it's looking like, how I'm using it, and yeah, I thought you guys might enjoy it and hopefully get something out of it. Now, I think the only way to kick off this tour is with talking about my Paper Republic journal. This encloses all my journals into sort of one binding, I guess. I was sent this by Paper Republic very kindly. They initially sent me a grand or a smaller size, which only fits their notebooks, but they ended up sending me a portfolio which much better suits my lives because it can fit in the A5 moleskin. My journal is actually in the brown chestnut leather, if I'm correct, and one thing that I'm loving is watching it slowly patina. I've seen photos of some people's and theirs are so beautifully worn in. I know Jalissa Rose said that hers got water spilt on it, and I think that's somewhat beautiful because these journals get so much character over time and they're something that you can carry with you forever. And I'm loving the scratches and indents and sun markings that are slowly showing up on it. I also have an embossing on my journal with my initials, which I think is a really cute touch, and I've decided to go with this green ribbon, which I don't know, I'm thinking of changing it to a red because I'm wanting to get some journal jewelry, which Jalissa also makes, and I think a red would go really beautiful, but also I think the green would still go with the brass nicely, and so that is the Paper Republic journal. One thing I love about this specific portfolio from Paper Republic is that it has all these inner pockets. In the inner pockets, I sort of put an array of different pens that I've been using. It's sort of just a random eclectic mix, whatever's working. But one thing I keep going back to is the Muji 0.5 pens, ballpoint pens. They sent me a packet of these and they've changed my life forever. I'm never going back. I think they're really affordable from what I understand, and everybody raved about them, and I thought they would be good, but didn't think they would be that good. I use mine every day, and I just, when I lose one, I get a little bit panicky, but that is the pen that I've been using. I've been using Muji pens, which I've been loving, and in these pockets I also sort of just put an array of different things that I'm trying to collect more things. I sort of have been so bad with just throwing out tickets, and I wish in Europe I saved more tickets and just little bits and bobs, because I want to start a commonplace journal, and so in the future I will move a commonplace journal into this, but for now, I'm just collecting all the bits and pieces, and they just go and live in these pockets, which I think is a really great spot to put them. The back of the journal also has a few pockets, which I think you can put cards in and just other loose leaf paper or whatever you need to put in there. I haven't really found anything to put in there. I'm thinking of moving my wallet in here potentially, because I feel like I carry around my journal more than I carry around my wallet, which is sort of ironic, but I think I'll eventually find a place for those. But if you are looking at investing in one, they are so many pockets. Now, the first journal I have is a black A5 moleskin. I find that I just love moleskins because they're sort of the easiest luxury leather journal to get here in Australia. I can pick them up from most stationery spots, but I'm thinking of trying I don't know how to say it. Is it like Luxorn or something? I'm thinking of potentially getting one of those next. But this first black moleskin here is actually my reading journal. For a really long time, I felt like I was just reading and not retaining a lot or remembering, and so this acts as a reference guide. I pretty much write down every single book I read, and then at the start of the journal, and then I also write out each book as I read it and just notes on it. I'll write quotes, I'll mostly write my thoughts. It's a massive mess in there, if I'm being honest. It's just, if anybody read it, they'd think I was a madman. I actually shared my my journal, my reading journal on my Substack for March, because I thought it was a bit different. My thoughts are a little bit unhinged and crazy, and I sort of just write whatever I'm feeling in the moment and relate it back to the book. And then I'll often write my reviews for the books that I share on TikTok and Instagram there also, and it just allows me to keep track of it and not lose, and sort of just really think about what I'm reading and what's speaking to me in those moments. My friend Pedia also runs a Reading Life, which is my favorite Substack. If you're needing some reading material, definitely I'm going to link her in the notes below. But she talked about how she keeps a commonplace notebook, but it also is full of quotes, and these are just quotes that she's been reading, and she underlines a lot, but she doesn't write down everything. She just writes down quotes that have really been speaking to her in those moments, and it provides a good reflection and almost like an anthology of everything that she's read. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that I'm going to look into doing, but for now it's just my reading and mostly just my thoughts on what I'm reading, and that's what that notebook contains. We then move on to my green moleskin, which is in the middle. This is the same size, it's A5, and I got this at the start of the year. I started writing in this as sort of just like a commonplace sort of, I was sticking things in sort of, and then I started doing my morning pages, and so morning pages sort of overtook this notebook. I initially wanted to do my morning pages in an A4 size, but then I realized that I wasn't going to be able to stick to that at the beginning because A5 was already overwhelming enough to fill 3 pages of A5. And so I decided that I would just fill this A5 journal, and then now it's become really easy. And so when this is finished, I'm actually going to move into doing my morning pages in an A4 notebook and start a sort of new ecosystem where I have my morning pages and maybe my Substack ideas. But that's for the future. For now, that just contains my morning pages, which I'm really enjoying doing, and the Artist Way is changing my life. It's crazy. I'm feeling so creative and inspired at the moment, and so this notebook is, I feel, holding so much creativity. And my final notebook is from Paper Republic. It's a really thin notebook because this portfolio probably wouldn't hold much more than 2 A5 moleskins and a little journal. In this, I have a little stamp, as you can see, and that's a little... Maybe I'll just tell you, the book club is coming. I've set a date. It's going to be announced in the next few weeks, and so that's a little treat from the logo. I have a stamp now, which is crazy, so I decided to stamp my journal with that. But this is sort of just a random notebook full of content creation ideas and Substack ideas. I've been trying, for the longest time, I would write things in my notes, and I'm trying to move away from spending so much time consumed on my phone and on my screen, and it's really difficult, but I'm trying to become more intentional with writing out ideas for Substack, for YouTube, for TikTok, whatever it be. I'm trying to keep a list of just books I want to read and just random notes on articles I'd like to read and talk about, and that's all within there. It's sort of just a messy array of work sort of stuff, and it's working for now. I think we might change it in the future. I think, to be honest, it is a little bit messy and a bit hard to keep track of, but I'm sure I'll find a way to make it a little bit better in the future. But for now, it's working. I also have an A5 diary, which is like a day-to-day diary, but I don't use that a lot, honestly. Most of the time I just write out my weekly plan in that final notebook as well, which seems to do the trick, and I also can keep track of things on my Google Calendar on my computer. But yeah, my journal is one of the most precious things in my life, and I love how it's constantly changing and evolving and wearing with me and changing with me as I move throughout honestly such a crazy time in my life, and I can see this becoming a part of my life for years and years to come, and I hope it's something that I have forever. And I think if you have thought about starting a journaling ecosystem or investing in something like a Paper Republic or a Louise Carmen, I can't tell you how worth it is. It's an investment in yourself and your own creativity, and I think that's really precious. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. Let me know and see your journaling ecosystems below, and I'm sure I'll do one of these in the coming months as I change my journaling ecosystem around. I don't know whether it will be a full video or a vlog, but nonetheless, I'm sure I'll share it with you. And honestly, I hope you're well. I hope the center of your world is holding, and I'll talk to you soon.